Well, it is important to protect Africa's wildlife, particularly because Africa counts for about a third of the world's biodiversity, and that's significant. The second largest rainforest is in Africa, the Congo basin, and that accounts for a significant carbon sink, which provides the entire world with a global good, if you may. In a sense, it cleans up the world's lungs for us. So Africa maintaining its nature, it's really critical.
And Jia Qiao, what biodiversity projects is the AWF working on at the moment?
So the biodiversity work AWF is doing is quite diverse and unique, and I think can be summarized in 3 areas. In terms of the wildlife conservation, so AWF, we trains and equips the rangers to protect elephants, rhinos, and other wildlife populations. We also partner with wildlife authorities in Africa to deploy sniffer dogs at airports and other trafficking hotspots to combat the illegal wildlife trade. In terms of conserving land and promoting community well-being, we work with different stakeholders on protected area planning and also help communities to build schools in remote parts of Africa where high quality education is lacking. And also at the policy and advocacy level, we proactively engage and advise African governments and businesses with recommendations for conserving our natural resources. And in the meantime, we also engage our international partners like China, European countries, and the United States towards promoting inclusive wildlife-based economy in Africa.
And Frederick, that's quite a wide-ranging brief, isn't it? There's a lot of ground to be covered there for the AWF. Who should be responsible, do you think? Should that be environmental agencies, charities, or governments?
We have a big problem in our hands, and it's a problem that cannot be led by any one party. In my opinion, we have a societal-wide challenge to restore nature and to ensure that nature is beginning to deliver consistently for people. So in that respect, I would say governments have a significant role to play in legislation, but as well in prioritizing nature in the way that they develop, and as well, I will also say businesses and corporations have a significant role to play because they use nature a lot in their processes, and they need to understand that extracting from nature alone is not enough. They need to give back to nature so that nature can be regained and continue to provide its services. On the individual level, it's critical for individuals, you and I, to also do something about it. Through our choices and through our actions, we can conserve nature. So it's a societal-wide challenge, and I think it's a societal-wide action is required at every level.
And Frederick, again, we're expecting major commitments to be made by countries when Kunming eventually goes ahead, hopefully in October. Is there a risk, though, of Kunming becoming yet another conference backed up by empty promises? How can you sort of make the game a bit tougher, do you think, in the autumn?
Well, there certainly is a risk. Over the last 30 years, 3 decades, we've had these meetings every decade, and nothing has concretely come out of it. So there is a risk. But the point is that we are in a bigger mess today than we were 30 years ago. And if we do not do anything about it collectively, we collectively are jeopardizing our existence as humanity. And given the stakes are that high, something needs to be done differently. And I would suggest 3 things. The first is that governments and politicians really need to commit in ways that truly impact their national level plans. The second big thing, and we learned from the past, is that these commitments need to be backed up by resources. Without financial resources to take forward these plans, then it's really virtually just on paper. It's not going to happen. Then thirdly, in addition to financial resources, we need to provide the necessary knowledge, skills, to drive these processes. In some parts of the world, the resources and knowledge are just not there to transform plans into action. And the transfer of knowledge is critical for it to happen. So political will, financing, and knowledge and capacity are the three things that need to go alongside the promises that are being made.
Do events, do you think, like COP15 go far enough to address the challenges currently facing our planet that you've talked about so eloquently?
So, Stephen, I think what events like COP15 do is that they mobilize people and political will towards a common goal. And if you notice, in the past few years, there has been a lot of activity by civil society to really bring awareness on the issues. We almost all now know that nature is in a mess and that we are losing up to 50,000 species a year, which is alarming. And that knowledge, we hope, will trigger changes at different levels. But without those changes, it's not going to happen. So what then COP15 does, the convention does for us, is that it galvanizes political will to sign up to commitments. Then from there, we take those commitments down to countries to then make those changes happen, hopefully with societies, with businesses, and with local government. So they do matter. And I think this one is critical because of the timing.
And just finally, Jia Qiao, I understand AWF has been cooperating with China. What difference would you say China's contribution has made so far or is making?
Yeah, I think definitely the COP15 is an opportunity for China to showcase its efforts to protect biodiversity, both at home and also abroad, through its vision of ecological civilization and also the mechanism of ecological redlining. So China developed the ecological redlining approach, which places areas with essential ecological functions under mandatory protection according to their level of vulnerability. So it currently covers about 18% of China's land mass. This approach helps to strictly preserve the ecosystems within this area. And in terms of mitigating the negative impact of industrialization on the environment and biodiversity in China and around the world. So China has been trying to raise awareness among the companies to comply with the standards of countries in which they operate through the Belt and the Road Initiative International Green Development Coalition.
Jia Qiao and Frederick Kumah from the African Wildlife Foundation, thank you both for joining us on The Agenda.
Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you.